Pat, I have been waiting for this day for a long time. No, it's not the day that Pat finally announces he's no longer vegan. No, it's not the day that my chess rating finally climbs over 450. It's the day that CNN has started to do live fact checking of Sarah Huckabee Sanders' press briefings as they are happening with graphics. What a day. For nearly 2 years now, I've been saying the press corps must fact check the press briefings. The press corps must insist that questions be answered. If a question is asked and Sarah Huckabee Sanders doesn't answer it, the next reporter should ask the exact same question until we get an answer. And I've also been saying, if they're not willing to do that, maybe the networks should just stop airing the press briefings altogether. And we're going to have an example of that later today as well. So let's go to yesterday's press briefing. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the vile, depraved, disgusting, lying press secretary, gives her first press briefing in nearly a month. CNN comes out of nowhere with graphics that pop up on the screen as soon as Sarah Huckabee Sanders starts lying and directly contradict or expose the fact that she is telling lies. So we're going to play one clip here in a moment, and you're going to notice, if you're watching, that as Sarah Huckabee Sanders is talking about this climate change report from Trump's own administration, which Trump said he doesn't believe, they immediately, when she starts lying, put up the graphics that tell you the truth, just the facts, not editorialized. And if you're not watching, I'll describe the graphics after. If you are watching, you'll actually see these on screen. Let's take a look.
The president's certainly leading on what matters most in this process, and that's on having clean air, clean water. In fact, the United States continues to be a leader on that front. Even Obama's undersecretary for science didn't believe the radical conclusions of the report that was released. And you have to look at the fact that this report is based on the most extreme modeled scenario, which contradicts long-established trends. Modeling the climate is an extremely complicated science that is never exact. The biggest thing that we can do is focus on how to make sure we have the cleanest air, the cleanest water, and the president is certainly doing that and certainly leading on that front.
How is he doing that? I mean, the president's about to go to Buenos Aires and meet with all the leaders of the world's industrialized nations and developing nations as well. Isn't this a great opportunity for him to sit at the table and say, folks, this is what my administration just reported. This is the time that we all have to act in concert to prevent what my administration is forecasting?
Once again, we think that this is the most extreme version, and it's not based on facts. It's not data driven. We'd like to see something that is more data driven. It's based on modeling, which is extremely hard to do.
Yeah, not data driven. Total joke. So let's now put up the graphics that popped up on screen when Sarah Huckabee Sanders and this the freeze frame we have is just priceless. When she started lying, CNN simply presented some facts. Like, for example, this climate change report involved 300 scientists and 13 federal agencies. So Donald Trump and Sarah Huckabee Sanders are saying that the 300 scientists and 13 federal agencies that did this are wrong. They also point out that the co-author was not paid for the report. That's another lie that started being floated. And they also pointed out, even though Sarah Huckabee Sanders is saying that this was extreme and this was not the most accurate assessment of the data that's out there, that indeed the report was open for review and transparency before publishing. In fact, it was peer reviewed. This is what we need. Okay, now I know lots of Trumpists will say, the fact checking is fake news. It's biased media. Screw them. They're going to say that either way. They've been saying it for 2 years without CNN simply putting up uncontroversial facts on the screen. So do it. That's what CNN did. Now, meanwhile, MSNBC took a different approach. They simply ignored the entire press briefing, which I also think is fantastic. They didn't air. Larry Kudlow came out first and talked about how great the economy is, despite GM and Ford laying off 15% of their employees, as I told you yesterday. MSNBC didn't air it. John Bolton came out and said he didn't listen to the audio tape of Jamal Khashoggi being killed because he doesn't speak Arabic or some other nonsense. MSNBC didn't air that. Instead, MSNBC reported actual news instead of propaganda lies from the administration. MSNBC, when Sarah Huckabee Sanders was lying and Bolton was lying and they were all out there lying, they did a story about General Motors. They did a story about trade. They did a story about U.S. workers. They reported on this Guardian report about Paul Manafort, which we're going to talk about later on in the show. They talked about the Senate election in Mississippi, where unfortunately a racist Republican was reelected. And then, if something actually newsworthy happens during the briefing, they can report on it. They can even report on it minutes later after it happens, but they don't have to present this endless propaganda platform to their audience. I think that this is fantastic, Pat. The media should have adopted either of these approaches a long time ago, fact-checking or not airing it, and then reporting on what's newsworthy later. This is a level of dystopian dissonance that we are experiencing here, and news outlets can easily put a 3 or 4 minute delay on these so that they have 3 or 4 minutes to fact-check what's being said. This is fantastic, and I congratulate them.
Well, it sounds to me like you like the CNN strategy the most. So much so, I'm actually worried about you starting to do this to me. Like when I start rambling and going off the cuff, going off script, you may say, like, will David Pakman show facts first come up over here as a graphic with like a list of points debunking what I say?
Yeah, I think that that would be a good idea, because that way when people write in and they say, David, Pat said something that was absolutely and completely atrocious, you really should have immediately fact-checked him. And sometimes it's like, well, listen, I don't want to derail the show. I don't want to insult Pat. If we just had a running commentary of corrections of Pat on the side of the screen, I think that that's a really good idea. We might just have to hire someone to do that.
Well, I think we are hiring now, right? So that could just be the full-time position.
So listen, yes, if Fox News were to do this, their own fact checks would be ridiculous, but they're already lying anyway, and these other outlets may actually reach people by doing it. So this is good. I hope that the media is actually now starting to grow a backbone and that they're going to do this regularly. If you think this is a bad idea, okay, I want to hear from you. Why don't you like this? Follow me on Instagram at david.pakman. Follow the show at David Pakman Show. One of today's sponsors is Skillshare, which is an incredible online learning community offering over 10,000 high-quality online courses on a huge variety of topics. First 500 who click the link under this video will get 2 entire months of totally free access to every single class that Skillshare offers. You'll have free access to courses on music, art, photography, business, computer programming, cooking, meditation, and everything in between. I think you'll have no problem finding courses that are perfect for you. Just took a really great class on graphic design, which I know nothing about, but I'm trying to learn. Our show is giving you 2 entire months of totally free access to every course Skillshare offers, risk-free. If you click the link under this video, you'll have 2 months to take classes on anything you're passionate about, classes taught by real people who share that passion. And after that, you can keep getting access to the entire site for less than $10 a month. Just click the link under this video to redeem your 2 free months of Skillshare, but hurry, it's only available to the first 500 who sign up.